You wake up, look in the mirror, and ask yourself, is this really me? The reflection staring back feels strangely distant, as if somewhere along the way you've traded your true self for a role you never auditioned for. Each morning is a replay. Of the same conversations, the same obligations, the same quiet ache you carry in your chest. Inside, there is a pulse that once beat to its own rhythm, now muffled under layers of expectations and polite smiles. It feels like being locked inside an invisible cage made of hesitation, watching your dreams fade behind bars you built without realizing. Somewhere deep down, you remember a time when life felt exciting, when possibilities lit up your mind, when you were moving toward something that was entirely yours. Now, the days blur together, and you catch yourself wondering if this is all there is. Research from psychological science reveals that 85% of adults believe their lives have drifted far from the hopes they carried in their youth. Think about that. Most people are quietly living a version of themselves that no longer matches who they wanted to be. Sarah was one of them, a marketing professional in New York with a so-called dream life, a perfect apartment, a respected title, the paycheck she once thought would mean happiness. Yet every morning she felt a weight pressing on her chest. Until one day she asked herself, if this is the peak, why do I feel so empty? Maybe you have felt it too. That unsettling sense that you are following a map you did not draw, walking a road that leads you further from yourself. You have been told to be grateful, to keep going, to not question the path, but inside, something is calling you to wake up. If you have ever felt this silent pull, stay with me until the end, because today we are going to trace that voice back to its source and uncover the path that is truly yours. You will know when you listen to the voice you have ignored for far too long, the one that speaks quietly under the noise of routine and responsibility, the one that has been whispering since the moments you felt most alive, asking you to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Think back to the last time you were so absorbed in something that hours disappeared and you forgot to eat or check the clock. When energy seemed to flow effortlessly and every action felt natural. That is not an accident. That is your inner compass pointing toward a path that belongs to you. Real motivation is born from this deep connection, while external pressure demands performance to please others. And the difference is the source of whether you feel fulfilled or drained. The truth is, this compass never stops working, but life can bury it under the weight of expectations, social comparison, and the constant noise of other people's opinions, making it harder to see the direction it is showing. Research from Harvard Business Review reveals that 72% of people working outside their passion are twice as likely to experience burnout. A warning sign that ignoring your true calling comes with a cost far greater than the comfort of a secure routine. Michael, a skilled engineer in Silicon Valley, once believed his high salary and professional prestige were the ultimate rewards. Yet inside, he felt like he was living for a story that did not belong to him until one day he realized his happiest moments came not from the office but from weekends spent in a small workshop carving wood with his own hands. That realization led him to walk away from a career many would envy and open a modest woodworking shop, where he now wakes up eager to create, free from the hollow feeling that had shadowed his days. Your compass may not lead you to the same destination as Michael's, but it is there, waiting for you to clear away the static so its signal can reach you. Pay attention to what draws you in without effort, to where you feel time dissolve, to what leaves you more energized than before, and you will begin to chart the map of your inner landscape. If you can name the last thing you did that made you lose track of time, you have taken the first step in seeing that compass clearly. Hold that thought close, because next we will uncover the invisible chains that try to keep you from following it, and you will see exactly what has been standing in your way. It is not the road that is difficult, but the chains you cannot see. the ones that wrap around your thoughts before you even take the first step, whispering doubts until you believe them. You decide to do what you truly want, and then a voice cuts in asking, who do you think you are to try that? And just like that, the excitement turns into hesitation. These invisible restraints often come in three forms. The habit of comparing yourself to others until their achievements overshadow your progress. The fear of failing so deeply that you never begin, and the endless delaying of action under the illusion that you are waiting for the perfect moment. Imagine a door locked from the inside where only you hold the key. Yet you stand on the other side wondering why it will not open. Inside your brain, neural pathways strengthen every time you repeat a thought or behavior. So the more you avoid risk, the more your mind builds a path toward safety and away from growth. Neuroscience News explains that the brain is wired to prioritize security over happiness, meaning it will push you toward the familiar, even if that familiarity keeps you unfulfilled. Jessica, a talented photographer, spent 3 years telling herself she was not ready to open her own studio, convinced that no one would hire her, until one of her images was featured in National Geographic, and she realized the only thing holding her back was the story she kept replaying in her head. Once she unlocked that mental door, her career took a turn she could never have imagined while standing still. These chains are not made of steel. They are made of repeated beliefs, and the key is in your ability to challenge them. Every time you catch yourself thinking you are not enough, every time you postpone action for a safer time, you are tightening those links. Break them by acting before you feel completely ready, by focusing on your own lane instead of measuring against someone else's journey, by taking one small step rather than waiting for the full plan. The lock has always been inside your mind, and your willingness to turn the key will decide whether you keep circling the same safe loop or step onto the path your compass has been pointing to all along. Stay with me, because next we will explore exactly how to dismantle this fear loop so it no longer dictates your future. Begin by observing yourself as if you were an outsider, stepping back from the swirl of your thoughts and feelings to watch them with calm curiosity instead of being swept away by them. Imagine you could replay a video of yourself in a moment, a fear, and pause it to speak directly to that version of you, noticing the tension in your shoulders, the shallow breath, the way your mind races ahead into imagined outcomes. This is the essence of the observer effect, a principle in quantum physics showing that a particle changes its behavior when it is being watched. And when applied to the mind, it means that by noticing your reactions, you can shift them. Instead of being locked into an automatic cycle, you gain the ability to choose a different response. The practice is simple, yet profound. Step 1. Pause the instant you feel your body tightening or your thoughts speeding up, and name what you are experiencing, without judgment. Step 2. Picture yourself as a neutral witness, watching the situation from a short distance as if it were happening to someone else, which creates space between stimulus and reaction. Step 3. Decide what action supports your higher self, rather than the fearful version, and take it even if it feels uncomfortable at first. The Journal of Consciousness studies found that regularly observing your own thinking can reduce stress responses by 35%. A powerful reminder that awareness itself is a tool for transformation. Daniel, a former Marine, lived for years with the heavy grip of trauma until he began using this method during moments of anxiety, noticing the sensations in his body without labeling them as danger, and over time, the charge behind them diminished. Eventually, he became a meditation coach, guiding others through the same process that freed him. This approach does not require eliminating fear entirely. It requires meeting it with a level of awareness that prevents it from controlling your decisions. When you learn to watch instead of react, you weaken the hold of old neural patterns and open space for new ones to form. You begin to see that many of your past limitations were maintained simply because they ran on autopilot without you ever stepping in to question them. The moment you shine the light of observation on these patterns is the moment they start to lose their grip. Hold on to this skill, because once you can see yourself clearly, the next step is to actively rewrite the mental pathways that have been keeping you in the same place for far too long. You have to rewrite the pathways in your brain, because the patterns you repeat daily become the default routes your mind takes without question. Think of it like driving the same road for 20 years, every turn so familiar you could make it. With your eyes closed, then one day you choose a different direction. At first it feels strange. You miss turns. You wonder if it is worth it. But over time, the new route becomes just as natural. This is the power of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change its structure and connections through experience. Meaning, you are never permanently locked into old habits, no matter how ingrained they feel. The key is to introduce small, intentional changes that you repeat consistently until they carve out a new trail in your neural network. 3 simple actions can set this in motion. First, keep a daily journal of your emotions, not to dwell on them, but to understand the triggers and patterns that shape your responses. Second, take one deliberate action each day that aligns with the person you want to become, no matter how small, because these micro-decisions accumulate into identity shifts. Third, commit to a schedule that protects time for these practices, as discipline turns intention into reality. According to the National Institute of Health, repeating a new behavior for 21 to 6 days is enough to build strong neural connections that make the action feel natural. Tom, an IT professional, used to end every night scrolling aimlessly on his phone, feeling restless and disconnected, until he decided to replace that habit with writing down 3 things he was grateful for before bed. In the beginning, it felt forced, but he stayed with it, and after 6 months, he noticed his confidence rising, his anxiety fading, and his outlook becoming brighter. This shift did not come from a sudden breakthrough. It came from the steady rewriting of mental pathways until the old loop no longer had control. Your brain is constantly adapting to what you feed it, and you are the one choosing whether it follows a track built from fear and routine, or one created by conscious choice. By repeating actions that reflect your desired identity, you train your mind to favor them automatically, making change not only possible, but inevitable. Hold this thought, because once the map inside your head begins to shift, the next question becomes who you must grow into to fully live these changes. You must become the version of yourself that has existed inside you all along. The one that is not shaped by the shifting approval of society, but by the deeper truth of who you really are. Close your eyes and imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. Feel the steady confidence in their posture. See the clarity in their eyes. Notice how their presence alone seems to fill the space with calm strength. This is not the polished image you think you need to show the world. It is the higher self that carries the emotions, values, and energy that align with your most authentic path. The difference between the socially perfect version and the higher self is that one is built to meet expectations, while the other is rooted in inner alignment. To connect with this part of you, begin with visualization that is not just about seeing, but about feeling. Picture the way this future self walks into a room, the tone of their voice, the decisions they make without hesitation, and let your body absorb the sensation as if it is happening now. Psychology Today reports that imagining the version of yourself you want to be can increase your ability to achieve your goals by 11%. Because the brain begins to prime itself for actions that match the vision. Linda, a nurse, once stood in the middle of her busy shift, feeling the quiet ache of a dream she had set aside, becoming a doctor. At 40 years old, she began practicing daily visualization of herself in a white coat, speaking to patients with knowledge and care. And over time, this image became so familiar that it felt like reality waiting to be stepped into. She went back to medical school, enduring long nights of study and early mornings. And years later, she graduated as a pediatrician, living the vision she had anchored in her mind. You can do the same by attaching this higher self-image to small daily actions. Asking yourself before each choice whether it reflects the person you are becoming. Every repeated alignment strengthens the connection until acting from this elevated state becomes second nature. This is not about chasing perfection. It is about embodying the self that has been quietly waiting for you to step forward. Keep this image alive, because in the next stage, you will learn how to draw on the inner power that allows you to move forward every single day, even when challenges arise. That strength does not come from the outside, but from a place within you that you have not yet fully explored. A well of resilience that waits quietly until you are forced to reach for it. Back to a time when you faced something you believed was impossible, yet somehow you made it through. That moment was not powered by luck or external rescue. It was fueled by the ability to adapt, recover, and keep moving despite the weight pressing against you. This is resilience, the capacity to withstand and grow through challenges, and it is not a trait you are either born with or without. The American Psychological Association confirms that resilience is a skill that can be learned, strengthened, and applied again and again. You can awaken it in 3 ways. First, by stepping into controlled challenges that push your limits without overwhelming you, training your mind and body to handle stress in measured doses. Second, by surrounding yourself with a support network that reminds you of your potential when you forget it. Because strength multiplies in the presence of genuine connection. Third, by committing to personal discipline that keeps you aligned with your goals even when motivation fades, as consistency builds trust in your own ability to endure. Mark lived this truth when he lost his entire store during the pandemic, a blow that could have ended his entrepreneurial journey. Instead of giving up, he took the remaining funds and opened a tiny coffee shop, pouring his energy into making it a place people wanted to return to. The first year was difficult, but his persistence, his willingness to adapt menus, connect with customers, and show up daily turned one shop into a thriving chain of 5 locations. His success was not about avoiding hardship, but about using it to become stronger. Your own inner power works the same way. It grows in the moments you choose to act rather than retreat, in the decisions you make when no one is watching, in the quiet refusal to quit even when the road is steep. Every challenge you meet with courage becomes part of the foundation you stand on for the next one. This strength is already inside you, waiting for you to call on it. Hold this awareness, because the next step is learning how to sustain it over time so it does not fade once the immediate struggle is over. It is not strength, but the habit that keeps it alive, because even the most powerful fire will eventually fade if no one adds fuel. The moments of inspiration you have felt before were real, yet without a structure to support them, they slipped away, leaving you wondering why the change did not last. Lasting transformation is not about holding on to a peak of motivation. It is about creating a system that works even when your mood does not. The 80-20th principle applies here, meaning that a small set of consistent actions produces the majority of your results, so the key is to identify and repeat the few habits that truly sustain your progress. Instead of relying solely on willpower, design an environment that makes the right choice the easy choice. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, points out that your surroundings influence 40% of your ability to maintain a habit, which means the setup around you can either carry you forward or quietly pull you back to old patterns. Build rituals that anchor your energy each morning and each evening. In the morning, choose one activity that sets the tone for the day, whether it is movement, reflection, or planning, and protect that time as non-negotiable. At night, close the day with a practice that restores you and reinforces your commitment to the path you are on. such as reviewing your wins or preparing your space for the next day. Emma, a dedicated runner, has maintained her training for over a decade not by sheer determination alone, but by joining a community group that meets at sunrise every morning. The accountability, shared momentum, and social connection have made her runs a natural part of life rather than a decision she has to remake daily. Your own system can be as simple or as detailed as you need, but its purpose is the same, too. Remove friction and create a rhythm that sustains your effort without draining your energy. Once the system is in place, consistency becomes easier than quitting, and the strength you once had to fight to maintain becomes the default state. You live in, keep building these habits, because the next step is ensuring that even with all of them in place, you do not slip back into the person you used to be. By living fully in each moment without letting the past pull you back, you create a shield around the changes you have worked so hard to build. The progress you make can be fragile if your mind is constantly drifting into regrets about what has already happened or anxieties about what might come next. Presence is the anchor that keeps you steady in the reality you are shaping right now. Ask yourself if you are truly here or if your thoughts are wandering into stories that no longer serve you. Practicing mindfulness each day does not require hours of silence. It begins with small, intentional pauses to notice your breath, your surroundings, and the sensations in your body without judgment. When negative thoughts try to spiral, interrupt them by bringing attention to something tangible in front of you. Whether it is the feeling of your feet on the ground or the texture of the air you are breathing, this breaks the automatic loop and returns you to the present where your choices have power. The Mindfulness Journal reports that consistent mindfulness practice can reduce stress by 58%, not just by calming the mind, but by strengthening your ability to focus on what matters in the moment. Steve, a chief financial officer, began ending every morning meeting 10 minutes early to meditate with his team, and over time, the results went beyond reduced stress. Productivity increased, communication improved, and the overall atmosphere became lighter. Enjoying the process instead of obsessing over the outcome transforms your journey into something sustainable. Because fulfillment comes from how you live each day, not only from the goal you reach. When you stop measuring your worth by a finish line, you free yourself to appreciate the steps along the way, which paradoxically makes reaching your destination more likely. Being here now does not mean ignoring the future or forgetting the past. It means allowing both to inform your decisions without stealing your focus from the only place life actually happens, this moment. The more you train your mind to return to the present, the more you protect your progress from being undone by old patterns or future fears. Keep this presence close, because in the final step, you will see that the true destination of this journey is not somewhere out there. It is the fullest version of you that you have been uncovering piece by piece. The destination is you, whole and free. The version that has been waiting beneath the noise, doubts, and habits that once kept you small. Look back at where you began, perhaps uncertain, burdened by limits you did not choose, and now see the ground you have covered. You started with awareness, realizing that life could no longer be lived on autopilot. You broke invisible chains by naming and challenging them. You learned to step outside your reactions to see yourself through the lens of the observer, and in doing so, you claimed the power to change them. You rewrote the pathways in your mind with new habits, not through sudden leaps, but through steady repetition until the old roots no longer felt natural. You met your higher self, felt their presence, and began to make choices from that state. Instead of chasing an image built for others, you discovered that your true power was not waiting outside of you, but within, awakened by resilience. Strengthened through challenge, community, and discipline. You learned that consistency matters. More than bursts of strength, building systems and rituals that sustain you even when motivation fades. You anchored yourself in the present, protecting your progress by refusing to be pulled back by the past or lost in the haze of the future. Now you see that the force you were searching for was never missing. It was only dormant. Stanford University. Research shows that lasting change begins not with a complex method, but with the belief that you can. Because belief shapes action, and action shapes identity. Anna proved this when she committed to these steps, leaving behind cigarettes, shedding 20 kilograms, and opening a free training class for her community, all in the span of 2 years. Her transformation was not magic. It was a choice made daily to live as the person she had decided to become. That same choice is now yours. If you have walked through these stages with me, you know that the path does not lead to a place. It leads to the fullest expression of who you are. Every moment from here on is an opportunity to live in alignment with that truth. If you have found value in this journey, like this message, share your reflections, and pass it on so more people can reclaim the strength that has always been theirs. Thank you for choosing to spend your time here when you could have been anywhere else.